labored very hard, churning with 2 hands. The bangles and bracelets on her hands tinkled as they touched each other, and her earrings and breasts shook. There were drops of perspiration on her face, and the flower garland which was on her head scattered here and there. Before this picturesque sight, Lord Krishna appeared as a child. He felt hungry, and to increase his mother's love, he wanted her to stop churning. He indicated that her first business was to let him suck her breast, and then she could churn butter later. Mother Yashoda took her son on her lap and pushed the nipple of her breast into his mouth. And while Krishna was sucking the milk, she was smiling, enjoying the beauty of her child's face. Suddenly, the milk, which was on the stove, began to boil over, just to stop the milk from spilling. Mother Yashoda at once put Krishna aside and went to the stove. Left in that state by his mother, Krishna became very angry, and his lips and eyes became red in rage. He pressed his teeth and lips, and taking up a piece of stone, he immediately broke the butter pot. He took butter out of it, and with false tears in his eyes, he began to eat the butter in a secluded place. In the meantime, Mother Yashoda returned to the churning place after setting the overflowing milk pan in order. She saw the broken pot in which the churning yogurt had been kept. Since she could not find her boy, she concluded that the broken pot was his work. She smiled as she thought, the child is very clever. After breaking the pot, he has left this place, fearing punishment. After she sought all over, she found her son sitting on a big wooden grinding mortar, which was kept upside down. He was taking butter from a pot which was hanging from the ceiling on a swing, and he was feeding it to the monkeys. Oh! She saw Krishna looking this way and that way in fear of her, because he was conscious of his naughty behavior. After seeing her son so engaged, she very silently approached him from behind. Krishna, however, saw her coming towards him with a stick in her hand, and he immediately got down from the grinding mortar and began to flee in fear. Mother Yashoda chased him to all corners, trying to capture the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is never approached even by the meditations of great yogis. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is never caught by the yogis and speculators, was playing just like a little child for such a great devotee as Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda, however, could not easily catch the fast-running child because of her thin waist and heavy body. Still, she tried to follow him as fast as possible. Her hair loosened, and the flowers in her hair fell to the ground. Although she was tired, she somehow reached her naughty child and captured him. When he was caught, Krishna was almost on the point of crying. He smeared his hands over his eyes, which were anointed with black eye cosmetics. The child saw his mother's face while she stood over him, and his eyes became restless from fear. Mother Yashoda could understand that Krishna was unnecessarily afraid, and for his benefit, she wanted to allay his fears. Being the topmost well-wisher of her child, Mother Yashoda thought, if the child is too fearful of me, I don't know what will happen to him. Mother Yashoda then threw away her stick. But in order to punish him, she thought to bind his hands with some ropes. She did not know it, but it was actually impossible for her to bind the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mother Yashoda was thinking that Krishna was her tiny child. She did not know that the child had no limitation. There is no inside or outside of him, nor beginning or end. He is unlimited and all-pervading. Indeed, he is himself, the whole cosmic manifestation. Still, Mother Yashoda was thinking of Krishna as her child. Although he is beyond the reach of all senses, she endeavored to bind him to a wooden grinding mortar. But when she tried to bind him, she found that the rope she was using was too short, by just 2 inches. She gathered some more ropes from the house and added to the first rope. But still, she found the same shortage. In this way, she connected all the ropes available at home. But when the final knot was added, she saw the rope was still 2 inches too short. Mother Yashoda was smiling, but she was astonished. How was it happening? In attempting to bind her son, she became tired. She was perspiring, and the garland on her head fell down. When Lord Krishna appreciated the hard labor of his mother and being compassionate upon her, he agreed to be bound up by the robes. Krishna, playing as a human child in the house of Mother Yashoda, was performing his own selected pastimes. Of course, no one can control the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pure devotee surrenders himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord, who may either protect or vanquish the devotee. But for his part, the devotee never forgets his own position of surrender. Similarly, the Lord also feels transcendental pleasure by submitting himself to the protection of the devotee. This was exemplified by Lord Krishna's surrender unto his mother Yashoda. Krishna is the supreme bestower of all kinds of liberation to his devotees, but the benediction which was bestowed upon Mother Yashoda was never experienced even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva or the goddess of fortune. What was that benediction? Allowing her to bind him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as the son of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, is never so completely known to the yogis and speculators, but he is easily available to his devotees. Nor is he appreciated as the supreme reservoir of all pleasure by the yogis and the speculators. After binding her son, Mother Yashoda engaged herself in household affairs. At that time, bound up to the wooden mortar, Krishna could see a pair of trees before him, which were known as Arjuna trees. The great reservoir of pleasure, Lord Sri Krishna, thus thought to himself, Mother Yashoda first of all left without feeding me sufficient milk, and therefore I broke the pot of yogurt and distributed the stock butter in charity to the monkeys. Now she has bound me up to a wooden mortar, so I shall do something more mischievous than before. And thus he thought of pulling down the two very tall Arjuna trees. There is a history behind the pair of Arjuna trees. In their previous lives, the trees were born as the human sons of Kuvera, and their names were Nala Kuvera and Manigriva. Fortunately, they came within the vision of the Lord. In their previous lives, they were cursed by the great sage Narada in order to receive the highest benediction of seeing Lord Krishna. This benediction / curse was bestowed upon them because of their forgetfulness due to intoxication. This story will be narrated in the next chapter. Shall I read the next chapter? Yeah, we have 10 minutes. I'm not sure if we could finish. I don't think so. But I just, maybe I read first few paragraphs, and then maybe if anybody wants to say something. So, next chapter is chapter 10, titled The Deliverance of Nala, Kuvera and Manigriva, which were now in the form of Arjuna trees. The story of the cursing of Nala, Kuvera and Manigriva and their deliverance by Krishna under the all-blissful desire of the great sage Narada is here described. The two great demigods, Nala, Kuvera and Manigriva, were sons of the treasurer of the demigod Kuvera, who was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. By the grace of Lord Shiva, Kuvera's material opulences had no limit. As a rich man's son often become addicted to wine and women, so these two sons of Kuvera were also addicted to wine and sex. Once these two demigods, desiring to enjoy, entered the garden of Lord Shiva in the province of Kailasha, on the bank of the Mandakini Ganges. There they drank much and engaged in hearing the sweet singing of the beautiful women who accompanied them in that garden of fragrant flowers. In an intoxicated condition, they entered the water of Ganges, which was filled with lotus flowers, and there they began to enjoy the company of the young girls exactly as a male elephant enjoys female elephants within the water. I think I'll just do one more paragraph. While they were thus enjoying themselves in the water, all of a sudden, Narada, the great sage, happened to pass that way. He could understand that demigods, Nala, Kuvera and Manigriva, were too much intoxicated and could not even see that he was passing. The young girls, however, were not so much intoxicated as the demigods, and they at once became ashamed at being naked before the great sage Narada. They began to cover themselves with all haste. The two demigods, sons of Kuvera, were so much intoxicated that they could not appreciate the presence of sage Narada and therefore did not cover their bodies. On seeing the two demigods so degraded by intoxication, Narada desired their welfare and therefore he exhibited his causeless mercy upon them by cursing them. I'll stop here. So we read the main story of this so auspicious month of Kartik. Soon the curtain will open and again you will see here on the altar Mother Yashoda trying to bind Lord Krishna to the mortar. And that's the mortar which later on Krishna will try to pull it to those two, to Arjuna's trees and to save those devotees. And this is all planned by Krishna. So yes, this month you've you've come here. Have you offered the candle? You're going to, yes. That once the curtain opens, you're going to do that, and it is very auspicious month. Month of Kartik or Damodar Leela. There will be a song, devotees will sing a song about this Damodar Leela, and any spiritual activity you do in this month, it is many times double, increase the benefit. You will get many times more benefit. So please try. If you are not chanting, make a vow. It's very important this month. Just make a vow to do something extra every day. So if you're not chanting, maybe who is not chanting? Okay, if you're not chanting, okay, make a vow, maybe 1 or 2 rounds every day. Can we do that? Yeah? 1 round every day, 1 round of Maha Mantra. Do you all know Maha Mantra? Do you know Maha Mantra? You know? Shall we say it? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And you can have a beads, and there are 108 beads there, and you chant 1 mantra on each bead. So make a vow that you chant, how many rounds would you like to chant? 10 rounds. Wow. Yes? Okay. If you're not chanting, just start and make a vow, and you do that every day of this month. If you are chanting, add to that. If you are already chanting 16 rounds, maybe another, 4 rounds every day? Yes? I make a vow that I do an extra 4 rounds. So 20 rounds this month. I will chant 20 rounds every day. So this is the best vow we could do, but anything else you can do. You can make a vow that you come to the temple every day. What would you like to say? Say again? Yes, you're right. 192. You're right. You're saying that you think 20 rounds every day, you've done a big deal. Haridas Thakur chanted 192 rounds every day. Yes, you're right. I just pray that Krishna will help all of us to increase our rounds. This is Krishna's names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 3 names, Hare, Krishna and Rama. Hare means energy of the Lord, the internal energy of the Lord, another name for Radharani. Krishna means all attractive, and Rama means the reservoir of all pleasure. These are the top